It's no secret that Norfolk County's resident meatball Michael Morrissey coughed up a pretty penny to hire Aperture Paint Swatch, Judd Welcher, and his mighty network of make-believe college graduates to confirm what we already knew. Karen Reed did not hit John O'Keefe with her Lexus vehicle. But according to newly surfaced documents, Welcher's infamous paint test was almost identical to the experiment Massachusetts State Trooper Joseph Paul had already run. This and more in today's video. Hello, and welcome back, roommates, to another titillating edition of Alexasrewm, where we are not lawyers, we are not medical professionals, and we are not law enforcement. We are just people who have opinions about all things going on in the true crime community, including Blue Cocky. I can't even take credit for that name. Joey Bag of Donuts on the Twitter X says, Judd Welcher caught distributing the same load as one Trooper Paul. So this was part of a thread started by @Nanya987777. Yes, I needed to count the number of sevens on my hand, who is an attorney, but operates and runs this account anonymously. And this all began last night when they had filed earlier this week a 400-page lawsuit against MassDOT for refusing to produce any public records related to the Karen Reed case that she requested over the past 5 months. Then, yesterday, they sent her everything, which included a 45-page crash report straight from the MSP Spank Bank, pedestrian contact analysis, aka what became better known as the paint test sans the Home Depot run. The damage to the right rear of the Lexus appears to be from when the pedestrian, John O'Keefe, struck the vehicle. Sergeant Yuri Buchanek was placed in that location to show the approximate location the pedestrian's body was oriented when this collision occurred. So this time you don't have Judd Welcher cosplaying as the unaliving victim, but instead you have Trooper Paul propping up the artist formerly known as Yuri Bukwacki, now better known as Yuri Blue Quacky, posing like Rescue Randy. And it's a lot less creepy because I guess in this experiment, he didn't feel the need to cosplay as John O'Keefe. Also shocking is the fact that Trooper Paul managed to spell Blue Quacky's name correctly without having to use a Webster's dictionary, but only once. Can you imagine Trooper Paul and Hank Brennan competing in a spelling bee?
Numbnut.
Numbnut is a felt or sheepskin pad placed between a horse's back and the saddle to prevent chafing. Can I say it and then you say it?
Yeah.
Numbna.
Oh, Numbna.
His parents must have been so proud. Speaking of proud parents, disgraced former trooper Michael Proctor bear crawled his way into Karen Reed's parents' driveway after Trooper Paul was assigned to reconstruct this collision at 2:30 p.m. on January 29th, 2022, according to this collision analysis and reconstruction report. On Saturday, January 29, 2022, a single vehicle collision involving a pedestrian occurred in the area of 34 Fairview Road in the town of Canton. On January 29, 2022, at approximately 14:30 hours, I was assigned to reconstruct this collision by Sergeant Brian Mahoney. 1-800-77 Cars for Kids. I arrived at the Canton Police Department on February 1st, 2022 at approximately 10:45 hours. I met at the Canton Police Department and was assisted in this reconstruction by Trooper Zachary Clark, whose name you might also recognize from some of the other cases. I believe the Miles King case as well, too. Trooper Michael Proctor and Trooper Carol Larini, who I've never heard of before, have you guys? As well as Sergeant Good of Canton PD was assigned as the primary investigator. And as our friend Nunya on the Twitter X's points out, this was 3 days after the CPD had already recused themselves. This is, again, just a small sliver from this 45-page collision report, and again, just a small little piece of all the documents that our friend over here has collected and has been so gracious to share with the rest of the interwebs. So if you are on the Twitter X's, make sure you go give them a follow. Again, they are at Nunya 898-77777, or Marbury versus Mad. I will be sure to include the link to that thread in my description box below so you can do some of your own sleuthing. In other news, Do the Right Thing Boston Police Commissioner Michael Cox reveals why the Boston Police Department can't seem to go 7 days without showing a little bit of that thin blue loin nepotism. The Boston Herald reports that the Boston police officer who was responsible for conducting a high-speed chase a couple of years back that ended up unaliving 3 teenagers resigns. Officer Tristan Champagne submitted his resignation from the department on July 28th with charges pending, according to a police commissioner's personnel order dated Wednesday. A BPD spokesperson has told the Herald that the charges pending relate to an open investigation that the department's Internal Affairs Division is conducting into Champagne's misconduct allegations. Interesting. This seems to be a pattern of behavior with Boston cops, Massachusetts State Police. Really playing into the stereotype here, guys. I don't know what to tell you. The officer who graduated from the police academy in November of 2022 and earned a total of $111,387.05 in pay last year, which, I mean, I might be wrong, but I feel like that's a lot for a quote-unquote rookie, had been on paid administrative leave from the department before resigning, which sounds oddly familiar to what's going on currently in Groton, right, with Cop 2 a cop. The Boston Police Department declined a Herald request for records from the investigation into Champagne's misconduct allegations, citing how it remained ongoing and was pending a discipline hearing. And I feel like this is just par for the course here, right? They seem to do that with everything. That's the answer for everything, even with the DA's office, right? When they don't want to turn over certain materials, they default to, well, there's a pending investigation going on, and all of this stuff needs to remain impounded from the public. The BPD's Bureau of Professional Standards found Champagne had violated 6 department rules during the fatal high-speed pursuit, including one that requires officers to be truthful in their reports, Cloud wrote in a court motion in June. Per the Boston Globe, Champagne sitting in the passenger seat, and Officer Matthew Farley, the driver, continued to pursue a suspected stolen vehicle at a high speed despite Champagne's acknowledgement of a supervisor's command to terminate. So he ignored when his supervisor said, "Stand down." And then the 3 teenagers who were in the stolen car, which reached speeds of 106 miles per hour, had died after they crashed, while a 4th occupant survived, and a pistol was found inside. So I'm assuming a pistol inside the stolen vehicle. The DA's office did not press criminal charges against Champagne and Farley, even though, in my opinion, yes, obviously these kids had stolen a vehicle and they committed their own crime, but if you're told to stand down, stand down. More people can end up getting hurt, not just the 2 people involved in the car chase. Champagne faced a slew of other misconduct complaints, one stemming from a June 2023 incident just days before Simmons' arrest, with the officer improperly handling a firearm, causing it to discharge and damage property. Can you say Champagne's father, Patrick Champagne, holds a high-ranking position in the department as a sergeant detective. Surprise, surprise there. There's the nepotism. Earning $368,000 last year, according to the city payroll records. One brother, also named Patrick, is also on the job collecting $231,000 in 2024. And another brother, Preston, made $70,000 from the BPD last year. This resignation raises serious questions about the transparency and favoritism inside the BPD. No duh, because it seems as if Commissioner Michael Coxix delayed issuing any final punishment for months, allowing Tristan to leave on his own terms. It's hard to imagine that would have happened if Champagne's father weren't a high-ranking officer and a friend of the commissioner. There's no way a regular officer in the same situation would have been given this benefit. Can you think about other officers in the BPD who were given the same kind of benefit of the doubt? Cough, cough, Brian Albert, cough, cough, in my opinion, which ultimately contributed to the senseless deaths of 3 teenagers. Speaking of cops who seem to somehow retire straight into a pension-styled Tommy Bahama chair, Colonel Daniel Lohman of the Connecticut State Police has issued a public statement regarding the incident involving the former state trooper, Cop 2, Brian Fahey, and Sean Paul Reyes, known as the Long Island Audit. Shout out to LTL Media for sharing this. So this is the statement he put out. On Friday, July 11th, 2025, Connecticut State Police Sergeant Brian Fahey was confronted while off duty. Okay, so it was confirmed. I mean, we already knew that. He was in plain clothes, but he's a goddamn Connecticut State Trooper, right? Outside of his home by a self-described digital content creator. What is that? A self-described digital content creator? I mean, one, you would argue that Sean Paul Reyes is a journalist. A journalist to me means somebody who asks hard-hitting questions to people who maybe don't want to give up the goods, don't want to give up that information, and share what the public has a right to know, especially when it concerns taxpayer money, right? But in regards to this specific sentiment, he's somebody who creates content and makes money from it. So yeah, there's also that. He's not a self-described, he makes money from it. He makes his living exposing people online. Like, I don't understand that word phrasing. An internal affairs investigation was immediately initiated by the Connecticut State Police to review the actions of Sergeant Fahey. The internal affairs investigation was completed on Thursday, July 24th, 2025, and sustained a charge of conduct unbecoming against Sergeant Fahey. Why do I feel like this sounds so familiar to the internal affairs investigations that go on within the MSP? God, it's so similar. Those New England states, I'm telling you. I commend the swift and thorough work of our internal affairs unit. Way to tap each other on the balls, right? As a result of this investigation, Sergeant Fahey was disciplined with an unpaid suspension prior to his retirement. Sergeant Fahey previously provided notice of his intended retirement in May 2025, and that retirement became effective August 1st of 2025, which is interesting because we went over this in a video I published a couple of weeks ago, if you want to check it out, but it sounded like, from what was reported, this was a very abrupt choice in retirement. But the way that they're making things sound in this public statement here is, oh, well, no, this was always intended, and then we just happened to suspend him, even though apparently this guy's been receiving complaints for years and years and years by multiple people for similar misconduct. So The Internal Affairs Investigation Report has been released today in accordance with FOIA laws, and I encourage our trusted media partners to review this report. Our trusted media partners. That sounds very manipulative. Unlike the edited videos and inaccurate accounts that are being circulated online of this incident. What do you mean, edited videos? That wasn't what was provided to you. I mean, we all saw the video. Sean Paul Reyes put together a video where he went to, I believe, the Groton Police Department, filed this complaint, and in the video, the officer who's taking his statement asked for a copy of the original video and file, unedited. And I have no doubt that Sean Paul Reyes provided them the raw data. I believe that the Connecticut State Police Internal Affairs Report outlines a complete, accurate, and fair representation of the incident, as well as the information and details leading up to the confrontation on Friday, July 11th, 2025. It's my understanding that separate and apart from the Connecticut State Police Internal Affairs investigation, the July 11th incident remains under investigation by the Town of Groton Police Department and the Windham State's Attorney's Office. Well, good luck with that. The Connecticut State Police have and will continue to cooperate fully with that investigation. I appreciate the continued trust that the people of Connecticut provide us, and I encourage our Connecticut residents to read the report. We believe transparency is a cornerstone of public trust. Above all, please know that the Connecticut State Police will always strive to earn and keep your confidence. I mean, I love the amount of buzzwords, right? You're saying all the right things at the end of, oh, we believe in transparency. That's why we're sharing the Internal Affairs Report, and we want you to read it. But that doesn't mean what's being compiled in there isn't a load of bullshit. It just don't. But how's that for accountability? Enjoy blowing your pension on scratch-offs at the Tampa Waffle House. Speaking of retirement plans, Donna Adelson was back in court today for her final pre-trial hearing before her upcoming trial in a little less than 2 weeks. And it seems like
she will take the stand and testify in her own defense. That news revealed today at what could be her final hearing before trial.
Our Capital City correspondent Matt Hoffman joining us live from the courthouse. Matt, you were there this morning. What's the latest?
You know, Julian, just 11 days, more than 300 prospective jurors will be brought here to the Leon County Courthouse. The goal, 12 jurors, 3 alternates, and a multi-week trial.
I didn't know they hired the pizza delivery guy to do the news correspondence on this case.
Donna Adelson's defense team making a final effort to permit testimony about convicted co-conspirator Luis Rivera's involvement in the Latin Kings. Her defense says that particular gang, the Latin Kings, explains her fear and her actions after an undercover operation by a federal agent.
Her state of mind, her level of fear, is that it's not just that she learned he was a Latin King, but that he was the leader of one of the branches of the Latin Kings in South Florida. That heightened her fear. And of course, she will testify to that.
The judge ruled the defense can question the special agent on if he was portraying a specific gang or what the judge called a garden variety gang member. Prosecutors, though, said the two sides are starting to tread over the same ground on multiple motions.
Of course, there was no reason that elicited a deposition, and that it could never be admissible at a trial. So we're just wasting paper and time, these motions. No objection.
The judge ruled the defense can.
First of all, love Georgia in purple. Love it. Secondly, I didn't know it was possible, but Donna has seemingly been assigned to counsel or hired counsel that happens to be her doppelganger. I mean, even down to the nose. They're twinning over here. They're twinning. This is what Donna looked like before she was brought in. Her hair had a little bit more blonde in it.
Ask how Rivera was recruited into the operation. but they cannot cross the line and ask him about the Latin Kings specifically.
Did somebody just pass wind? What was he waving away there?
Now, guys, the judge penciled in about 6 days for the prosecution's case, another 4 to 6 days for the defense. So we're looking at a trial that will start August 19th and stretch well into September. For now, in Tallahassee, I'm Matt Hoffman, WCTV Eyewitness News.
And let me know when the pizza gets here. Anyways, so that's your news for the day, folks. It's been quite a week here at Alexasrewm HQ, which I'm hoping to snazz up with some fancy lighting and some new decor on the wall back there so you can stare at more things while I'm talking at you other than my ugly mug. If you enjoyed today's content, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you do not miss the next video from me. And make sure you hit that like button because that tells the YouTube algorithm that this is newsworthy news. And it is. I mean, I even saw, too, as I was recording this, all work emails to and from Karen Reed's DA's personal account are going to be released. So this just came out just now. So maybe I'll pop on at some point too and do a video on that. But until then,